Hi everyone, you'll have seen my tilt table test possibly video. I'll leave it down below if you haven't. It is the 14th of August today, and I've had yesterday my appointment through for my appointment at the National Hospital of Neurology and Neurosurgery's Autonomic department. So this is going to look into POTS and other dysautonomia conditions. So I wanted to kind of take you through the process as it happens. So at the moment my appointment is for the 3rd of September. I'm just reading off the information I have been given. The first appointment will be the first day will be a 24-hour ambulatory blood pressure and heart rate monitor test. So I'll be wearing that and having to perform certain things during the day and making note of the readings of the blood pressure and heart monitor. And then the second day will be a screening autonomic functions test, which is blood pressure and heart rate while you lie down, change your posture. You'll be asked to do some exercises. They may take blood, a prolonged tilt table test, and then the final one is a plasma catecholamine levels. So they take bloods at certain points when you're lying down, standing up, things like that. The first few things that scared me senseless, one is that I will be as not so much an inpatient, but they've booked a hotel for me overnight. So I've got to be there at 8:30 on the 3rd, and then I stay overnight at a hotel, and then I have to be back the next morning. And for me, with the whole lighting issue, particularly coming off the gabapentin, scares me, because most hotels, even walking outside the corridors, are fluorescent lighting, but they're also motion sensor, so they'll be off, and as you walk out they all start flickering on. It worries me that I'll be on my own in the middle of London in a hotel who don't know me, and I could end up unconscious and it'll all cause havoc. So I phoned up the department. I had to phone up to confirm the appointment. Spoke to a very nice man who was manning the phones for the admissions team because they're on holiday, but he took down all my details, all my concerns. He's going to pass them on, but he also gave me the phone number for the guy who books the hotel accommodation. So I phoned him, and they haven't booked any accommodation for me, which is neither here nor there, I guess, but he said that actually I'd be staying 2 nights when my letter says I'll be staying 1 night. That causes problems with, I'm going to have to take my own food, so I'm going to have to take extra food that might not last, so it's another thing to have to do. But also, if I wasn't concerned about being in a hotel, now that I'm going to be there 2 nights. And then there was the issue of the letter says 1 night, and now I kind of feel like I can't actually trust anything they say. So even if I'd I'd spoken to the hotel, they told me a particular room that would be suitable, and I phoned back this guy, I would be concerned that I wouldn't be booked into that room and something would happen and I wouldn't find out till I was there. Then there's nothing I can do about it. And I don't know whether that's just me being a little bit nervy, overreacting, but yesterday I was going to book my train ticket down for the Tuesday, no, the 3rd, and if I'd have done that, I would have been organised, and I'd have just received a letter through the post saying actually you're staying overnight from the 2nd to the 3rd. So I would have wasted money by me being organised. It worries me that if they say one thing, that the letter says something else. So what I have done is I phoned back, I spoke to the hotel. They've been lovely about it all. They're looking into it for me, she's going to get back to me. But then I phoned back and spoke to the lovely guy who I spoke to initially in the autonomic department to find out if my appointment can be changed. If it can, and it can be pushed back to half-term week, which is the last week in October, Mum can come with me. He said the only thing that might cause a problem is that if they push the appointment back, they don't meet their targets. But he did say he completely understands my concerns and that my safety is absolutely paramount, and that has got to be their main priority. He was really good. He said to me, because I started getting upset, and he said, don't stress yourself out about it. That's our job. We're the ones who do the stressing. Don't worry about it. We will get it sorted for you. He's been absolutely lovely. So that's where I am with everything. It's Tuesday the 18th of August and I have had a phone call from the Autonomic department. Very nice man who was absolutely fine with changing the appointment from the beginning of September to the end of October so that Mum can come up and be with me at the hotel. He's also taken into account that I've got the neurologist at the same hospital on the Thursday. He didn't query at all why Mum needed to be with me. So I actually had a really stressful Friday because after my original call round of everyone, the Autonomic department, the hotel guy, the actual hotel, I got another phone call from the Autonomic department and it was a lady who she said she couldn't get hold of, she couldn't find all of my notes. She only had some of the notes in front of her, but she was just phoning to let me know that no one would get back to me that day, which I wasn't expecting because the guy I'd spoken to initially had told me that. But she also reiterated quite strongly that if they moved my appointment back, they would be missing their targets. So she didn't know whether they could do that, and it was just in her tone of voice. So I was really stressed on the Friday because I felt like their statistics were more important than my health and well-being, which is not a nice feeling, but it's all been sorted out now. And I think the lesson to be learnt here from my perspective is not to get myself worked up when there's absolutely nothing I could do, because there was nothing I could do on the Friday. So not to get myself worked up, and that one way or another things will work themselves out. So I really do need to kind of take a step back, untwist my knickers and look at it from an onlooker's point of view. Dan and I have just spent the night at Mum and Dad's for my Nana's 80th birthday party, and I'm going to leave some things here so that Mum can bring them up in one suitcase for the hospital stay. The hotel's really nice. There was an issue at reception. They've got blue lighting and green lighting under the desk. So Mum checked us in, but the room's lovely. I'll show you that in, later on. The lights are not a problem. We arrived at the hospital at about 8:15 for an 8:30 start, which was good. The nurses are lovely. The porter who took me around to the department to actually be fitted for the blood pressure monitor was lovely. So I'm currently hooked up to a blood pressure machine that's taking my pulse and my blood pressure every 20 minutes until 11, and then it goes to every hour. I have to write down every time it goes off the time, but I also have to do various activities. Mum's here. Hi! We are currently in Russell Square Gardens, and this is where we've had lunch in their cafe, but actually we've been watching filming going on for Silent Witness in the middle of the square. So we're going to go over to Covent Garden because I've been allowed out the hospital now. We've had an early lunch, so we're going to go and explore. So this is our hotel room. Mum has already unmade her bed and is settling in for the night. Beds are lovely. We've got a chair. We've got a desk. This is food Mum has bought for me because I can't eat a lot of stuff out. There is a suitcase, which you can't see very well, full of food. We found a good place to put my crutches, which I will talk more about in another video. And then this is what I'm having to fill in, which if I move it into the light you'll be able to see a bit better. I have to put the time, what I'm doing and what's going on with me, if anything. I also have to do certain things. So at 7 o'clock I've got to lie down. After 5 minutes I've got to take a reading. Then I've got to sit up for 5 minutes, take a reading, and I've got to put the times in, and then I've got to stand for 5 minutes. Later on I've got to walk and I've got to go up the stairs. So we did go to Covent Garden, which was busy and not easy to get round on crutches, particularly because they've got cobbled streets. And then we went and just had a sit down because we were both pretty tired. It's quite exhausting. You don't realise how exhausting it is with this machine going off every 20 minutes. It's hurting my shoulder, and that's not being helped by me being on my feet with my crutches so much, but it will be worth it. We had a nice Nando's, and I'm going to see if I can show you how I'm all hooked up. So I've got the blood pressure cuff on, and then I've got the machine in a little bag around my waist. I could have had it crossbody. That didn't make sense with my shoulders being bad and my crutches. And then the wire we've hooked underneath my top coming out, and the lady hooked it under my strap. It's now Monday and I've had a few days to recover from the tests. I really wanted to film for you on Thursday, but I had the most horrendous night on Wednesday. The blood pressure cuff was waking me up every hour because of the pain it caused, and because of that I was awake from 3:30 in the morning, couldn't get back to sleep. So I had a horrendous night. I felt absolutely dire. I didn't know how I was going to manage through the next 3 tests with the amount of sleep I'd had, so I didn't want to add filming into the mix as well. The hospital staff took such good care of me. They took me by wheelchair everywhere, so I didn't have to walk because there were exercise related things in the test and they didn't want to wear me out beforehand. The 3 tests I had to have on the Thursday were all, you wouldn't have known that it was 3 tests. She started it and she just kind of moved seamlessly from one to the other. One of the tests was a blood test that I had to have before the tilt table test, and then they took one mid tilt table test to see if there were any hormone changes as a result of the postural change. There were also some exercise and some heat related tests that were all combined into the start of the tilt table test, and then the tilt table test was carried out. I didn't have any major symptoms to speak of, but I had a variety of minor ones, including my left cheek going numb, shivering down my legs. Palpitations were constant, but they did get worse and then better, but they were there throughout, as well as worsening in my migraine, unable to keep my eyes open. They were all sort of in the tilt table test itself. So hopefully they've got enough information to be able to diagnose and help me with whatever is going on. I now have to wait for an appointment to see the autonomic specialist. I'm not sure how long that's going to be, but I do have an appointment in 3 months with my migraine consultant, who is also a neurology specialist, and he was the one who ordered the tests for me, and he said that if I haven't been seen already, he can go through the results with me. So that's good news, particularly with Dan and I wanting to start trying for a baby soon. It would be good to know there's nothing they're going to do about it, particularly now. I'm not at the point where I'm fainting regularly, so they won't give me any medication. I've already increased the amount of water I drink and my salt intake, but they might be able to suggest some other things. But even if they can't, it would be good to know, because if I end up at the local A&E, they're not going to know a thing. So if we can give them as much information as possible, they'll at least not make me worse, which is my big worry at the moment. So some of the things I had to do in the tests were, I had to do some mental arithmetic. I had to start at 400 and then -7 each time, and that was really hard. And then I had to have my hand put into an ice pack for 90 seconds. I had to blow into a machine and keep my airflow consistent for, I think, 90 seconds again. That was really hard. Because the resistance on that was just, and I'm an oboist, so I know what resistance feels like. I just wanted to share a little bit about these tests and what you can expect, really, because I know there are people out there who it would be quite terrifying. I think I would be nervous if I hadn't had friends who's already had these tests done. So I just wanted to share with you all. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. If you do have any questions, please leave them down below. I will get back to you with as much information as I can. If anyone wants to contact me to talk about these in more detail, if you've got them coming up, you can always find me on Twitter, which is at WhenTanyaTalks, or you can send me an email at whentanyatalks@gmail.com, and I'm more than happy to support anyone who is going through this as well. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope it was interesting and I guess informative, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.